At Your End Step is brought to you by Comic Town and BCW Supplies. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Dave. Whoop whoop. And Mike.
Wow, wow.
And boy, howdy, do we have a show for you.
Sure shooting.
Tons of things. I mean, obviously, we're in the middle of announcement. Well, not even the middle yet. We're in announcement week, and there've already been like some fairly sizable announcements to talk about. Not to mention some like extra special announcements through various leaks, which is fairly interesting.
It's like an after-school special, a very special announcement.
Correct, accurate.
Jessie is on speed, and she's so excited. She's so excited.
She just can't hide it.
Thank you.
And I mean, obviously there was a tournament over the weekend that we have to talk about as well. Like just tons and tons and tons of stuff. So before we jump into that, though, we have a special announcement for Announcement Week. We last week launched officially our Patreon. So if you don't follow us on Twitter or anything like that, or on Facebook, you may have missed it. But we do have an actual Patreon you can go to, and if you are so inclined, you give back to the show, and we have a lot of different tiers, of varying cost, all the way from $1 to $10, and it is per episode. But you do get some sweet things for $1. You get a shout out on the show, and access to the Patreon's feed itself and everything like that. Which kind of we're gonna like do sort of behind the scenes things, and I know that we're gonna be going to Gen Con. At least Mike and I are gonna be going to Gen Con, so hopefully we can do some live updates from Gen Con and stuff like that. But it gives you access to that feed, which will be patron exclusive. We have a $2 level that gives you an extra entry into contests. That we will be having, of course, as well as a social media follow. So we'll find you out on social media and give you a follow, and then so likely Twitter, and then of course with all the $2 and above, you get access to all the other ones that are on there. And then we have a $5 one, which will actually give you some stickers, and then $10. We'll get you a playmat, a custom At Your End Step playmat. You do have to donate, be a Patreon supporter for at least 5 months for that to kick in, but definitely well worth it for one of those exclusive playmats. Because I mean, one other person has an At Your End Step playmat, I think, that we gave away, not counting like Jordan or anyone else. But I think that's it. Maybe.
Super exclusive. It's only like 4 in the world.
Very rare. Very rare.
And we've already got a couple of people backing, and I say thanks a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you are a backer of At Your End Step, we definitely do appreciate it. And we our current patrons. Let me see if I can pull those up here, because we get to shout them out on the show.
I'm glad you were prepared for that, Morgan.
I'm getting there. Don't worry about this awkward silence.
Oh, man.
So I want to give a shout out to Connor, Brian, Shane, and Jordan for being our current patrons at this point in time. So thank you so much for supporting the show. I don't want to give it their last names and they get doxxed for some reason.
I think like that is probably for the best.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. Also, if you have a common first name, it's you. It's definitely you. All the Brians in the world, thank you so much. No, just kidding.
No, that's not true. They know if they've paid us.
This is true.
You know who you are.
And of course, if you do have any feedback for us about the Patreon, let us know. We definitely, this is sort of new territory for us. So if there is like a tier that you'd like to see, feedback on sort of the rewards or anything like that, please give us that feedback so that we can, take that in and then improve what we give back to you guys. So, and of course, as time goes on, we hope to evolve it and be able to provide you the best Patreon exclusive content that we possibly can. So let's jump into the community topics. First and foremost, something that happened, I guess it's not foremost, but first, is there are going to be some changes for Hall of Fame eligibility coming up, and this is effective for this next vote, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
This year, yeah.
Yeah. So effective this year, the player must have 2 final day finishes, which is a PT top 8, Team PT top 4, or World's top 4 since 2012, which is, 5 years at this point in time.
That's just
of history.
Yeah, it's just since they switched over to the new Worlds format.
Gotcha.
New player championship / world championship that they have now.
And then the next change is that if a player receives less than 10% of the vote for 3 years of voting, they are removed from the ballot. They can be added back if they receive 4 pro points. It used to have to be 3 straight years. Correct?
Yes.
Is what I have written here. So that's an interesting sort of shift there. They're going to be keeping more track of like actual percentage of voting, not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily be 3 consecutive years though.
Yeah, I mean basically like the goal is to trim down the overall list of
names,
people that are, available for voting.
Yeah.
Because I mean if you look at like last year's list, it's absurdly long. So
fair enough.
I understand that.
And then lastly, to get voted into the Hall of Fame, you now need 60% of the vote instead of 40% of the vote. Now, this kind of goes hand in hand with them wanting to trim the list. Hopefully, if you have less names, then that means that people will, be driven to vote, have a smaller pool to pick from as far as like actual eligible players.
They also use it. They were talking about how so many pros did not use all 5 votes, and they were taking that as an indicator of like the pros themselves trying to keep it exclusive. So they figured if that's how our voters are literally voting to try and keep it exclusive, then that was an indicator to them to make it harder to get into.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm all in favor of these. Like, I think the I think the Pro Tour Hall of Fame should be really difficult to get into, and like we are getting to a point where how many Hall of Famers we have now at 40 or something, or is it even more than that?
I'm not sure, but yeah.
But like, so obviously we're adding more and more every year, and even players from the first couple of classes, you look at John Finkel and like Raf Levy and guys like that are still active now. So
right,
you keep adding all these auto Pro Tour invites, and maybe eventually it gets to the point where maybe you have more people playing on the Pro Tour than you really want. So I like it as a way to kind of maybe trim down, make it a little bit more exclusive. I think you're also getting to the point now where some of the players that are getting inducted have less gaudy numbers, I guess, if you look at number of Pro Tour top eights and things like that. So yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, Hall of Fame should be difficult. It should be the hardest.
I think everyone could agree with that too. So I think these changes they make sense. So.
Yeah.
And Pakula is still on the ballot for this year, so like
do the right thing. Like, do the right thing.
Like the man, how can you not let Meddling Mage into the Hall of Fame? Come on. I mean, obviously he hasn't had as an illustrious career, but you cannot downplay his like contributions to actually like making something that we're obviously advocates of playing a clean game of Magic. And being very anti-cheating in the Wild West days of MTG, so I think like that is a huge contribution to his clout as a known player. Plus, the dude's just cool and listens to metal, so like how can you go wrong?
Yeah, I think not that we have votes or anything.
We do not.
But I think we've been lobbying for Pakula like from the very beginning of this podcast.
So long.
I remember like I was a guest. I wasn't even on the podcast yet. I was a guest, and we talked about Hall of Fame voting. I was just like, yeah, get this guy in there. So yeah, do the right thing. The only bad thing to come out of this is that it's effective immediately, which I don't know why they keep doing this.
Is like a bad look. Yeah, I agree with that. But because it did affect players' like decisions to like play in certain tournaments and everything like that. So that's rough, but too late. What are you going to do now at this point in time? So, but let's move on. Let's dive in. Announcement week. Like we are literally like 2 days in, and it already feels like so much to talk about.
I'm sad that we don't have tomorrow's information already. We're recording this on a Tuesday.
Actively glad.
You're glad?
Yeah, we have a lot of information for this week, and I feel like we need to split announcement week into 2 weeks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, if you want to add your own personal announcements, we could do that. Like Dave, you have any personal announcements you want to add?
No, not really.
Okay, my right foot itches.
Nah, I have no. I have no.
I'm going to the gym tomorrow morning.
Okay, that's cool.
I have
That's
no
good.
personal declarations of any kind at this point.
Do you have no items to declare?
No items to declare.
Well, yeah, let's get to actual announcements.
All right, so on Monday we had Metamorphosis 2.0, which is Mark Rosewater's big article that he released, and here are some of the big bombshells from it. So beginning in spring of 2018, there will no longer be small sets. Get rid of them. Big sets only. It is
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And so we have the fall, winter, and spring sets will be large sets drafted alone. Now, I didn't say summer, because the summer set is actually going to go back to a quote-unquote core set. It is going to be a revamped core set. This is still going to be a large set, of course, but it is, I would say that it is probably going to be similar to something like Magic Origins in sort of aesthetics or kind of where they're going. Don't expect it to be like Core Set 2018 or what have you, or 2019. I wouldn't expect to see that necessarily on the packaging, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But it is going to be different than what previous core sets have been.
Yeah, my hope is that it's like Magic Origins, because that one by far was my favorite core set ever. But I don't expect it to be like the way that he talked about it in the article is like they really missed having that kind of intermediate set.
Yes.
From we have beginners and then you have kind of the core set to kind of continue that before going into the expert level. So it seems like it is going to be a little bit more basic. And Magic Origins was a little bit more complex for a core set, you know what I mean? But I personally loved it, but I could see why they would want to get away from that. But I hope that it's more like Magic Origins.
Yeah, I think that's our last touchstone for core sets, and I think that's they before getting rid of them. I think that they liked Origins. I hope they do a little. I think Origins got a little bit figured out pretty quickly, but I mean it is core set, so you kind of expect that. But I think that if they're returning to it, then they have a good reason to. So I hope that they put plenty of effort into it. So I think it'll be okay.
I do want to say shout out to John Hafer on Facebook. Added a comment. He was the one last week who talked about the. I'm sorry, I said your last name. We didn't do it for the Patreon people. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's on Facebook, man. They know where to find it.
That's true. But he's the one who mentioned the core set thing after we discussed. And I'm just saying, you did it.
You called it. Congratulations.
So, proud of you.
Yeah, it's a good way for them to print, like we talked about, like generic answer cards, and that's a good way for them to print those kind of cards. I know, like Morrow said something about reprinting some of the cards proved to be difficult in the regular releases. That a lot of cards are either plane specific or had names that have tied them in. Yeah. So like it wasn't easy to just put.
And some cards you don't necessarily want to print just like functional reprints, because then you affect formats that don't have the restrictions that standard does. Yeah. So they have to be careful with that as well.
You also get weird things like in this and this is gonna always happen, but like in Cal or Aether Revolt where you had a Tog that couldn't be in a Tog because it had to be a Gremlin, and it's just like, well, maybe you don't have to put a Tog then in Aether Revolt, but if you want it in the format with the artifact block, then you could put it in the core set. So
yeah. Then you can play your Antiquities ones. Like a
yeah, with the sweet smile, sweet smiley smile.
Yeah. Can we back up for a sec to the large set releases?
Sure.
So I think like so there's two main things that this is going to do. So first off, like you said, you're going to draft this alone. So basically, every draft format is just going to be triple whatever.
Yeah, triple X.
Triple whatever.
Triple H.
No Vin Diesel. Just
no Vin Diesel. I'm glad. Thank you for
wrestler.
Thank you for. I said triple X.
I know. Yeah.
And thank you for revisiting my joke. Yeah. Can we meet in the middle and do Ice Cube? Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect.
That's good.
So I really like that. And Mauro did mention that a lot of people's favorite draft formats is triple, triple Innistrad, triple Rise of the Eldrazi, whatever.
Triple Avacyn Restored.
And I tried to think of no, not that one. I tried to think of a format that I liked that was better with more sets, and I think like only the Ravnica ones, which only because of the way they were structured,
Right.
where like you would have certain guilds and only certain sets. So those are a little different, but take those out, and it's like I can't really think of one that was like I enjoyed better than just the triple draft format.
And yeah, more often than not, they just get worse. Like
Yeah.
I know there was an article on Star City this week that mentioned like when you went to Innistrad Dark Ascension, it was like oh, and I remember all the way back in like Odyssey, and then they released Torment, and you were like, what did you do? Like why did you put this awful color skewed like ridiculousness?
Right.
So yeah, I agree with that.
So, yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then the other thing is for Standard, and I think we can all agree that Standard needs a little bit of help. They obviously have more overall cards in the format if you have all large sets instead of having
Correct.
the switching off between large and small. And I do think that is overall a good thing for Standard. I think like having, and it's not going to be like an overwhelming amount of cards. Like we've had larger Standard formats before, but just having more options in the format, or like being able to have more options, I think is going to be better. So
Yeah.
I see that as a positive as well.
And another thing with this is that they've also announced that they like the idea of the like traditional like 2 block on a plane story system that they've worked out may be changing as well, where they can have the flexibility to be like, well, we actually only need to visit this plane for a block, and like that's all we're gonna do.
Or the other inverse can also be true.
Yes, or we need to be on this plane for 3 or more blocks. So that'll be kind of a nice thing to see, that we don't have to like always expect them to leave, that they can actually kind of like dive into a place if they need to be, or make a quick stop off somewhere, and like which gives a lot of hope to like less popular sets that had good like actual planes that people might want to go back to, but didn't have a good did have a good first time go around. I'm looking at you, Kamigawa.
Yeah, that was like the first question that I had before I like fully read the piece. I was just like, wait, so they're just gonna have like 3 planes per year? That's gonna get old real quick. But yeah, it does give them that flexibility. The only question I would have is, like you mentioned, like, well, they can stay on a plane, like if they want to or whatever. But it's like they need to figure this out way in advance. So what if they like have this all set up where like, oh, we're gonna have like 2 or 3 sets in a row on the same plane, and then after the first set, people are like, oh man, this is lame. This is just horrible. And then like, oh well, we're just stuck here for another 2 sets. So I mean, like that, I think it could go the other way too.
It definitely could, but I mean, like you have to think if they're committing to a plane, like they have a good hook. Like you have a sort of a Lord of the Rings esque sort of journey, or something like that, like an epic poem. Was that what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the right thing.
Yes,
like,
an epic would be good.
yes, an epic. Yeah, something like that that'll actually hook people into the plane. And you do studies, like you get feedback of where people want to go. And to be honest, like they pull a lot from the world history, and so much of world history and what cultures are very interesting. So like they could do it. And what it really leads up to is like what kind of cards they make, what kind of environment they build. And you just kind of have to hope that with the changes they're making in R&D, they can, have that payoff. And that's the hope.
Yeah.
Right now, we may not have a lot of faith, but this is the future we're talking about. And the future can always get better, or irreparably worse. I don't know, man.
I think this may make it easier for them to craft the kind of standard that they want, because they're not going to have to worry about. Like, so if you have a 2-set block, right, and you have how many mechanics per set? What, 3 or 4?
Yeah.
So now they can focus on, like, okay, we know that, like, these 4 mechanics are going to be in this set, and then these 4 mechanics. So I think it'd be easier for them to kind of interweave those in standard.
They also don't have to like hold back cards. Like there's been articles that have been written where they're like, well, we held back like this card that had this mechanic on it, or we had to hold back cards so we had more payoff for like the 3rd set or the 2nd set. But now they don't have to. Like these are the best cards for this mechanic, and like we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I like that.
Speaking of holding back cards or pulling back cards, the Gatewatch, the Power Rangers of the Multiverse are going to be seeing less cards being made for them, which I think we can all appreciate, because I'm done. I'm tired of them.
We don't need like 4 Nisses in standard.
Yeah, just done. Just like cut it out, man. I mean, obviously the when we see Simmet as being like a new Planeswalker face in the the pantheon of Planeswalkers, it is kind of disappointing because she's fairly underpowered. But hopefully we'll see some other faces that maybe we haven't seen in a while. I mean, there's rumors that Vraska could be an Ixalan or something like that, based on like
Hashtag Kothwatch.
oh God, Koth, please come back. We miss you so much. I'm so tired of Chandra. I need a new mono red Planeswalker in my life.
Do you know what she does every time? She gets angry. I know it. I've seen it. I've read it.
And then she burns things.
And then she burns.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Koth,
And like they just can't write for Chandra. Now I'm not. They may not be able to write for Koth either. Maybe I'm pitting. They just can't write for red characters. Could be the problem.
I mean,
but
at the very least, like Koth has had like a couple good scenes in the Magic story.
so is Chandra. She did kill Ulwog. Give her credit.
It was fair enough, yeah, by burning him. But I mean, like he.
Yeah, and how did Pikachu defeat an Onyx? By shocking him. Okay, like sometimes you just got to do it real hard.
It's hard mode.
You got me there. You got me there.
Sometimes you got a little pedal, a little bicycle, and attach little cheek implants on a Pikachu so he can zap himself and get stronger. I might be confusing battles because that might have been Vermilion City, but I don't really care.
It's been a while. But no, like Koth has had some pretty awesome scenes, but we just don't see him. I mean, obviously they're waiting, they're biding their time. They want to go back to New Phyrexia at some point in time.
We'll get
I'm
Tybalt
sure.
before we get Koth. I guarantee it.
At least they get a second try at Tybalt for the very
Nope, don't care about that either.
Like the Planeswalker is well done, like as far as like a character design goes. I think is cool.
He's Macklemore the card. Like
I mean, he's
in physical design, Macklemore is not nearly as evil.
yeah, Macklemore's not a half demon. I don't think.
Put Macklemore in a button-up vest and tell me they're not really similar.
I still like the character design of that card though.
Then you like the character design of Macklemore.
Is that so wrong? This is not a bad thing. I don't think. Anyway, which good. We need less Gatewatch. That's fine.
Yeah,
I want
so-
to see other faces.
They were sort of ambiguous with what that means. Like, it doesn't mean the Gatewatch won't still be the main storyline. Though they did also suggest in this article, or Morrow suggested in this article, that we could also get just a set of playing without them, and that would be really refreshing.
Yeah.
And also, like, they're not all going to be. They may not all appear in the same.
Well, they're not
at
all
the
here
same
now.
time. Okay, I thought.
Where's
they
the
were all-
Johnny? Johnny took
didn't-
the oath, bud. Remember?
I didn't know.
What do you mean you didn't know? It's a card.
I don't.
It's called Oath of
No,
Johnny.
I don't follow the storyline.
There's a card called Oath of Johnny where
Yeah.
he'll hold his hands up and goes,
Yeah.
wow.
I understand, but I thought they were all in Amonkhet.
No, he said they were stupid to go to Amonkhet because they'll get killed by Nicol Bolas. And then when he left, they were like, all right, let's go. That's not even a joke. That's literally what happened.
Yeah, didn't he go to?
They were-
Dominant?
He doesn't know what he's talking
He went to
about.
go like recruit more help, which means probably go talk to Tamio, if I had to guess, because that's who he was talking to.
I thought he went
before.
to Dominaria.
Oh, not was it Dominaria? Not Tamio. Was it Tamio? His storyline was him talking to. Must have been Tamio who he was with. I don't remember now. And being sad about Elspeth. So
Sad. Anyway, and then lastly about this, we have the Masterpiece series, and it showing up less.
dun 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 dun. dun.
So we won't see it in like every
So
set or
it's
every
still an
block.
hour, obviously, but it's not an Ixalan.
Correct.
So that change was made a while ago. Like, so, well, I mean, if you think about the way the sets are set up, like, yes, they could technically pull that, but as far as printing, like, they would be cutting it fairly close. So the Masterpiece decision had to have made that out of all these decisions, that had to be one of the first ones, because everything else starts after Exelon. The eggs, or no, is it soup? Because eggs is
Soup, yeah, soup is the one.
Eggs is the second set of Exelon. Soup is the.
We'll probably know what soup is. So by the time
Tomorrow.
you're listening to
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
you'll know what soup is.
I hope it's literally just like
It's just called.
it's just called like we're going to like the miso plane or something.
And we go back to Kamigawa at that point in time.
I'm confused. So this is spelled CHUN-KAY. Yeah, chunky.
Yeah, and the Planeswalker there's Campbell's.
There's a lot of them. They're all different colors. It's a cycle.
Yeah, they all were created by the magical wizard Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol was a planeswalker.
Yeah, of course he didn't. Yeah, no, you're right. That's you're completely factual with that statement.
No, I think they definitely could have. I mean, he did mention that they had some trouble coming up with some of the invocations for Amonkhet.
Sure.
I bet they did. I could tell.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was supposed to start off as just spells, and then it didn't really work with what they're trying to do, so it kind of ended up with like a couple creatures and mostly spells.
I see. That's something I don't understand. Like you could have definitely done just spells. You just didn't try hard enough. Like
But like
Well,
I
they
just
also
want
had to
say,
hold some back for hour. You know what I mean? You look at
Yeah.
that and like, oh, they did chain lightning, so you think lightning bolt would be obvious too, but they can't do them both at the same time, so you get aggravated assault.
boy, howdy.
Yeah.
There are other like completely other red
So,
spells they could have done too.
Do you understand? Like, this is how you know. Like, and I like these ones. Like I said, I have a couple for the battle box, but this is how you know that they're not doing the job they were supposed to do. So, well, I drafted this weekend. I'll talk about why in a little bit, but it was a competitive draft, and a divert was opened, and it was pick 3. And it was pick 3 because a person thought it might have been expensive, but it wasn't. Because divert isn't actually very good for one. Like, it's fine, but whatever. And it's also worth $16 so literally like when you like the idea behind openings was supposed to be like, wow,
Yeah,
right? And then it
look
was
what I
like,
did.
and then it was literally like, oh, out of all the ones I could have opened, I opened divert. So the feeling has dissipated a bit, to say the least.
Yes.
So I'm glad they caught on to that quickly. If they can show up thematically and like, okay, this plane needs, is going to get these for this reason. Like, to me, like a Return to Dominaria would be a perfect time for more masterpieces, because then you can pull out some really cool ones. You know what I mean? Like, oh, these are plane specific, but yeah, they would have been really starting to be like, okay, well, here's your Brundlebore expedition, because our theme is life gain. So, what else you got?
so you have any predictions for future planes?
For future planes, I mean, I think we're still gonna go back. We're definitely going back to Dominaria at some point. We're gonna get Theros too
Well, we have the announcement that's happening
tomorrow.
today.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're going to be announcing what they're doing for the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
So
Dominaria
that would
makes
make
a lot of sense. Future sites.
Is it all just like blown up though? Isn't it like?
No, it's actually probably healthier than it has been ever. It almost blew up, and then
okay.
Teferi like sacrificed a spark to like save like Teleria and everything else. So
Cool. Getting back to what I was going to say, I think like they definitely could have judged the response to the invocation or the invocations,
Masterpiece series.
masterpieces
Yeah.
for Amonkhet, and then saw that people weren't really, and maybe that's what ultimately made the decision. Like maybe we need to pull these.
but like if they did that, then that would have meant that they already had like they would have paid a lot of money for design and art already. Then by that point, like the way that sets designed are,
could still use
they
it
may
for
have thrown away.
something
I'm just saying like, they still may have thrown away a lot of money on like card design and art commission and have to find a place.
This
to
is
use
all
it.
conjecture. We don't actually
Yeah.
know, but I mean,
I'm still okay with it. They made the right decision for that one.
yeah.
When they come back, it'll be cool and exciting, and then they won't be there every time.
I think alternatively they could have just had less of them in each set, or like do it in every other set or something. But whatever. I mean, they'll do it when they feel like it's
Right.
it's necessary. So.
Right.
When there's a bad set coming out.
I would
need to sell
I would
it
guess we
fast.
get them like once a year at this point. Like
Yeah.
one set a year would make sense to me.
All right. That was it for Metamorphosis 2.0. And I think overall it was a pretty positive article in all honesty. So
No, and it's been received well, and I think
Yeah.
that's good. So
so next up we have today's stuff, which was the banned and restricted announcement. Now this was moved up a day. They specifically said they wanted to
move back a day.
well,
Monday was when it was supposed to happen, so move up.
no, it was supposed to happen
supposed to be
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
This was a Monday.
Nope,
Oh,
Wednesday.
okay. Well, I'm an idiot. My apologies.
It's supposed to happen on Wednesday, so they moved it up to Tuesday, and for good reason, because there is a new card on there, and it is Aetherworks Marvel.
Banned in modern.
I wish I had like a balloon, just like like after that.
That's a good one. No, banned is standard, of course. No other changes in any other format. Which I think a lot of people were like being like, with Death Shadow, is anything gonna happen with Death Shadow? But Modern, in all honesty, is still really healthy as a format. So I think a lot of people were pretty relieved to see that didn't get changed, and were elated that Aetherworks Marvel has been removed from the standard card playability pool. And this is effective in paper on the 19th. of June, and effective on Magic Online to tomorrow / today, June 14th. And they basically said that I think Aaron Forsyth had a nice tweet that was like, typically what we like to see is their, in standard of best deck develop, and then people, build decks to beat that deck, which was happening, but Marvel is just a unfun card. And I think that was, the article does have further reasoning behind it, but I think like that quick tweet is honestly very telling of their motivation.
I thought it was I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off, Dave.
I think you're going to say what I'm going to say, but yeah.
Frank Carson?
No. Just
okay. They decided Frank Carson's math in there too, saying that roughly he estimated that roughly 10% of games with Team Marvel were essentially ended on by turn 4 Ulamogs. And they said like if 10% of your games are literally you just going like, oh, we're done playing Magic. He's like, obviously people aren't having fun. And I thought it was one that was cool that they like cited Frank Carson's math because. Yeah, why wouldn't you? But two, that like they recognize that like there's a fun factor here that is just like, oh, cool, we didn't play Magic this game. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think they did a better job on this one of explaining like their reasoning, and this wasn't completely based on this deck is X% of the field. That was certainly part of it, but they definitely broke it down, and Aaron Forsyth pointed out like. This isn't the most dominant deck we've ever seen in Standard. It's definitely beatable, but a lot of the games were unfun. It definitely was the best thing you could do. Like you just have the ability to end games on turn 4, and also the fact that you have similar decks in the format like Teamer Energy or Teamer Mid Range. And that having Aetherworks and Ulamog was kind of shoehorned into that. Now, so I mean, I don't know. I think they were put in a really tough spot with this time around because of all the bannings that they've already had, and I think that's done a lot of damage to just people's confidence in them to create a fun Standard environment. But I'm happy with it. I would have understood either way if they didn't ban or if they did.
I flat out said I wasn't calling for the banning, despite saying I wasn't playing Standard because of it.
Yeah.
This banning, I'll be very honest, I wouldn't bought Standard cards today. Like, I wouldn't bought $100 of the Standard cards today. Like, I am ready for the Invitational. I've started, like, I feel rejuvenated. And I was excited about the other bannings, but this is the one that has made me feel that way. And I said, I get it if you're upset as a Team or Marvel player. It does feel weird to have a deck ban that wasn't like traditionally oppressive. You could still look at metagame numbers. Like I want to look this up here real quick. Like so, as of this morning, it was 31. But like comparing it to like Modern, where people were calling for Death Shadow, Grixis Death Shadow has a 9.7% metagame share. And like as a definitive, like so what, whatever best deck, right? So like when you look at that, like. That means like they said they talked to a lot of Standard players, and you have to look. Like, this is where that banning gets weird, like you mentioned, Dave. Like you have to look at it from the individual level. Like Morgan played in our team tournament and played against Marvel 6 rounds out of 9.
Yeah, the better we did, the more Marvel I saw.
And by the end of the day, like was mentally like bored.
I just done. Right? Like I just didn't care.
And if you're the individual who's like fighting a good fight, you're not you're not playing the Marvel deck, and you think you can beat it, but it doesn't matter how well you play. Sometimes you just can't beat that Ulamog on turn 4. Well, it may only happen in 10% of games. But if it happens to you 3 or 4 times in the course of a one-day tournament, like, oh, I played against Marvel and they Ulamogged me, I played against Marvel, especially if it happens in like critical moments, like game 3s, you're like, okay, oh, this happened. Well, to the individual player, you start to jade the individual, and the individuals talk to a lot of other individuals. So you end up with a deck that, yes, isn't more oppressive maybe statistically, but has such a negative connotation around it. I mentioned that that message from Chris Van Meter where he said that people were actively like upset with him when he was playing Marvel because they're like, oh, okay, you're doing this too, you know what I mean? And that's frustrating for him, sure, but those people aren't exactly in the wrong for feeling so crushed by it.
Yeah.
So
having a little salt.
So I think like when you talk about it from that perspective, like you could, if you are a person who really enjoyed Marvel and like you're upset that your deck got banned, or you played like 4-color Saheeli and then took that shell and turned it into Marvel, and now you've essentially lost money on Mythics twice now. I apologize to you. That is upsetting, and I get that. And if that causes you to not trust Wasi, to quit the game, that's fine. But I'm back in because of it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm definitely I'm infinitely more excited about the Star City Invitational at the end of this month than I was. Like, it was kind of like, okay, sweet, I get to play Modern, and I
guess
I'll figure something out for
play
Standard.
Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I guess no, but now, I mean, not that the format is like super wide open. I think for the most part, it's going to be the same decks, non-Marvel decks that we've seen. I don't know that we're going to see anything super new pop up, because we kind of do have an established metagame here, but it'll just be nice. Like, it feels like there'll be a little bit of back and forth now, instead of just like, well, you have Marvel on top and then you have all these other decks.
Yeah, it may not be like tons of brand new archetypes, though. I do think you could see more archetypes. I do think like some of the aggro decks that aren't zombies could come back, like a humans or even a red, because they weren't quite fast enough in this format to ever race Marvel, but against other decks, they're pretty robust. But beyond that, I think you just go back to seeing like actual metagaming where people aren't running four dissidents whatever in their
Dissenter's Deliverance.
Dissenter's Deliverance in their main deck. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to like or like the Team Energy deck that was running around with 4 negates in the main deck. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to do that now.
Yeah.
So it doesn't open up whole like new archetypes, but it opens up the format to metagame against each other, to feel like a format, as opposed to everyone's gunning for Marvel and kind of failing at it. So
yeah,
it's nice.
And I was talking to the guys in their show chat. It's just like you can also take a look at some of those Pro Tour decks that were quickly forgotten about after the Pro Tour, and like maybe see if any of those now have new life to them, which I think is pretty compelling as well.
And I think there are other combo decks you can consider now that these are gone. Like something like Aetherflux Reservoir, may actually be a little more playable in a format. Granted, Blur Control probably beats the heck out of it, but I think like people who still want to play combo, there's actually a number of pretty powerful combos still in the format. We still have Paradox Engine, which is just sitting there waiting to be broken.
I don't know how viable it is. You still have new perspectives.
That is a combo. I'm not going to lie. I may have sat down today and started jotting down a Panharmonicon deck. I'm just letting you know, because you still have the Infinite Eldrazi combo. You don't have Reflector Mage anymore, but we might be able to figure something out. So, your 4 mana do nothing artifacts or 5 mana do nothing artifacts that set you up, or even like Metalwork Colossus. People love that deck.
Or like Cryptolith, right? Like that's still a thing.
Yeah,
that
like
in the format.
Like things that you would need to tap out on a mid turn where your opponent like was pretty much slamming Marvel and killing you. Well, now you might have some time, and that's nice. So. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't make new archetypes, but I do think it makes the format better. I can't really speak to like health of like individuals, like as far as like how you feel about WotC. If you hate them, that's fine. This will cause standard prices to like people were predicting massive spikes for cards today. Like, and I went around and bought cards today. They're not doing that. Like things like Glorybringer haven't like gone through the roof today. They haven't been bought out or anything like that. So like people are wary enough of these bannings that they're like. I think in the past when you saw a banning, you'd see people buying right into cards, and I don't know. I'm not feeling it as strong this time.
I mean, like also you just have the sheer fact of like one of the cards that could like see cards / archetypes that could see gains from this is Green Black Delirium, and it's like Ishkanal could like see a temporary price spike, but that card's also rotating relatively soon.
That's true.
So it's like you could buy into that card, but how much do you really want to spend on that card?
Yeah, like. I guess Grim Players sees playing Modern.
Yeah, Grim Players is like a Modern.
Liliana.
Modern.
Well, Liliana's price has not been tied to Standard for a very long time.
And plus, like those 2 cards are from Eldritch Moon.
They're going to rotate.
Yeah,
too.
but
So-
I mean,
so
like
is
Eldritch,
Ishkanal, yes.
Ishkanal's from Eldritch Moon as well.
It's either Eldritch Moon or Shadows.
But I
same
mean,
block.
Eldritch Moon's a smaller set though.
Oh, well,
that's
fair.
kind of the argument.
That's fair. I'm sorry. Let me check on Ishkanal.
Yeah, I think it's in Eldritch Moon.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this is the final banning that they have to do for a long time. And I think it very well could be. Now, I mean, I'm sure people are still sick of Gideon, and, I do expect there to be a resurgence of Mardu vehicles, so you're just going to have to deal with that. But at least Gideon's rotating in a couple months, so it's not the end of the world. And Mardu is definitely not the same as, turn 4 Ulamog. or even if they're not hitting Ulamog, just having to, like, fade that Marvel spin every turn or whatever. So it's nice. It's nice. I mean, I think you're still going to see Mardu, obviously, Black Green Delirium, / Snake decks, obviously. Zombies, I think, probably gets a lot better now. Blue red control, I think, will still be a thing. What else? Yeah. What else? What am I missing? Teamer energy.
Yeah,
mid-range.
and honestly, like to Wizards' credit, like in their announcement, they did talk about how you can staying with that same energy shell. Like it's not that hard to move into Teamer energy if you're already playing the Marvel deck, and most of the cards are really cheap outside of like Chandra. But a lot of people already had Chandra Torch of Defiance if they played the other version of Marvel from before. So I bought those today.
And I
But
mean, like that card also just sees modern play. It's like it's a good card.
I can't find the evidence of that. But
Oh, it's in the Valakut decks.
Yeah.
oh, I did see that once. Okay, one
Yeah.
time. You mentioned that earlier, and I was like, "Where is it seen the time?" I guess it's there. That makes sense.
Some Jund decks.
Yeah,
but,
some Jund decks as well.
But yeah, only Redo can do all of that.
Pyromaster's still better.
Pyro Masters, I say they're different. They're different
Hey, man,
structure, different. folks.
Pyromaster just grows your opponent's Death Shadow, man.
Pyromaster is the best Chandra they've ever printed, and I'm saying this with Chandra the Mind Sculptors currently in Standard.
I don't know. It's debatable, but we don't have to get into that.
Hey, that Chandra can play lands.
Hey, the point is, I think Standard's gonna be a lot better.
Again, I'm
not gonna say it's gonna be awesome,
I said
but
I
it's
wasn't
gonna
playing
be-
till Ixalan, and this list got banned. I got banned, so
All right.
you brought me back in. You brought me back in.
I would play Standard this week at F&M if the bannings were.
Yeah.
In
In
effect,
effect,
it's not
yeah.
in effect. So
I mean,
I'll probably still
Dave
play
and I, we both said today we haven't played a game of Standard since the Comic Town Classic in April.
I mean, I haven't played Standard since the PPTQ, and that was kind of on a whim. So,
Yeah, but I mean, like.
and I played Team Energy, so my deck just got better.
It's like 2 months without playing a game of Standard, and I'm like one of like the heralds of the format. Like when it comes to like sitting on a show and talking about it, it's like I just won't play it for 2 months.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
But hey. So also today we had some small Magic digital offering announcements. It wasn't anything too, groundbreaking or anything like that. We had the announcement that the first game under the Magic Digital Next umbrella will be demoed at HasCon. So it's going to be September 8th through the 10th.
yeah, it's a literal shot for shot remake of Root Beer Tapper, but instead of having like a regular like bartender, it's a Johnny. I don't. It's weird, but they said
that's what
it.
he's doing.
That's what
That's
they
why he's
want.
like, yo, you guys go to Amoket. I'm gonna go do this thing. It's kind of something that I always kind of wanted to do. Never really had the time, just fighting bad guys.
It's kind of weird because he's actively tailored Elspeth's cloak into a like
It's like an apron.
yeah, it's like an apron now.
old
That's
school,
it is. And he's like cleaning glasses with it. And it's kind of disrespectful, actually. So
It's like a planeswalker bar, or it's just like
no, it's just a bar. He
Anybody.
went to a Western plane. We haven't been to it yet.
So like you walk in, and he's just like, what'll it be? Eh?
Like we don't get too many of you cat people here. And Johnny's like, what do you have? Sarsaparilla? What?
I'll have a milk.
All right, so the next thing is that they announced last week is that they are designing a Magic the Gathering MMO.
Correct. So this is going to be something that is developed by studios Cryptic and Perfect World, which they did the Neverwinter free-to-play MMO. I think Cryptic also did City of Heroes and Star Trek Online, which are two moderately popular MMOs. Nothing.
At least their video game company is doing it. Like
They are.
WotC was like, we're in-house designing an MMO with the Play Design Group.
They are, legitimate video game, developers, and this is interesting. I'm not interested in it though. I tell you what, I have absolutely zero. I played WoW, and I really enjoy that game still. I just don't have the time or the effort to really want to put in any money into WoW anymore, because I play this game called Magic the Gathering, and it takes all my money. So, if you played that game, it's really hard to, in all honesty, play other MMOs.
Yeah,
because they
it's-
don't.
it
You always
feels like-
there's always something that's missing.
Yeah, it feels like it's one at a
has to go
time.
somewhere,
Yeah.
And even with the IP of Magic the Gathering being the headlining thing, like so what's the MMO? What's your character creation? Are you making a planeswalker?
Probably.
That sounds miserable. You and thousands of other millions potentially of other planeswalkers. No, this is your problem. This is the problem that you have with Magic and the commonality of planeswalkers.
Honey, you have to recognize that anytime they create a video game for this, like unless it's like a single player or like a narrative focused video game, like an MMO, like that's something I'm going to have to just accept. Like, yes, it doesn't make any logic. I almost cursed.
Thank
cursed.
you. I appreciate you
any logical sense within like the game's lore, but I don't think you could design an MMO and not make it plane based. Like that just doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Like with the IP. Yeah, it's frustrating and it's annoying and it makes no logical sense. But like, that's the only way you can make the IP. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, that is truly frustrating to me. Because it's just like planeswalkers should be unique. I'm not against them, having more faces within the actual card game, but when you're talking about like an MMO where it's like you're just gonna have like thousands to millions of planeswalkers.
To be fair,
it's weird.
I
weird.
agree with that, but MMOs are like illusions anyways. That's why they section them off. Like it doesn't make any more sense in WoW that you have millions upon millions of people who all come out of their various villages and become great heroes, right? Like, oh, you're the first troll to be a hero since blah 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 blah, and then like literally the next guy walks up, turns up the quest, and goes, "You're the biggest hero since blah 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 blah." Like, like that lore is all a lie anyway.
It's especially bad with with Legion because you get like an artifact weapon, like a legendary weapon through the lore.
Yes.
So like if you're a paladin, you get Ashbringer, which is supposed to be like this mythical weapon that only one of them exists, but you definitely see like all the other
He's got four hanging from his belt.
all the other paladins just have like different skinned Ashbringers, and it's like, well, all right.
And like, yeah,
I guess you're right.
So that is literally the concept. Like, I think that like some of them get away with this a little bit. I think like the various like with like the Star Wars MMOs have gotten away with this before because like you do have a whole galaxy and they had various roles like that. But like, look at City Heroes, right? Like, oh, you're all superheroes, and that game was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, City Heroes was
so
pretty good.
I think like for myself, who does get frustrated by the lore, now it depends on what they do with it, right? Like it's going to be the same thing as WoW. Like if everyone's like, "Have you met Jace?" right, and like everyone goes in to turn in a quest, and every time Jace turns around, he's like, "Hail and well met." But but at the same time, you went to you was like, "You are tasked with going to Orgrimmar and seeing like the leader of all the orcs because you're very special," and then you're in line with the other 10,000 people who are like, "I gotta turn in something." I don't remember who's in Orgrimmar anymore. I don't remember who it is.
Who's the war chief?
Yeah,
technically the war chief right now is Sylvanas. No, not Syl. Yeah,
Sylvanas Windrunner.
Yeah, the
what are you doing, Blizzard?
Underworld Queen.
Oh, cool. How is she the warlord?
Because it was
war chief.
It was the troll leader.
Yeah,
Vol'jin.
Yeah,
and then he died.
Oh, he died.
Spoilers for Legion. Vol'jin dies. I don't know.
You ruined it for me.
Who was that before? Who was Doomhammer?
Because the first guy died, right?
Thrall.
Yeah, Thrall died, right?
Thrall. I don't think Thrall. I think Thrall left. I don't know if he died.
Did he leave his own accord or was he exiled? I'm not doing this. I'm sorry.
We're done. This is not a World of Warcraft podcast.
It's the same problem. It's the same problem, though, right? Like, so I think, like, if you look at it in that context, right, where, like, you're just this simple orc that rose to the ranks to lead massive raids. No, you're not, and that's stupid. And, like, if you're like, oh, well, there's a million planeswalkers, well, yeah, you'll probably interact with about 30 of them at a time. And at this point, Magic's already telling us there's 30 on any given plane, and 20 of them are born on Zendikar every week. So who cares?
Yeah, I guess it's just the complete suspension of disbelief. But it's just like it's just weird.
Complete suspension of belief in Magic: The Gathering.
Yeah.
So
I just don't get it. I don't understand.
I'll give it a chance. It could be good, but I agree with you. I think myself personally, I'm probably past the point where I'd have the time to invest in anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, we already have Overwatch and Magic, so it's like, what more do you need?
I'm also married.
I'll just say
that's very true.
I'll just say I think it's cool that they're doing it, and might give them another outlet to kind of expand the lore and the universe.
They can definitely also do something that the old WoW game did to actually great success, despite the fact the old WoW game wasn't very good. Like it was a fun game, but whatever. They had loot cards. where like you got a card in there, and if it had a scratch off on it, like they literally scratch off cards, you got like special in-game mounts, and some of those cards became massive. Like they were so like the only cards in that entire game that were worth money. And like Magic can do it in reverse, where like you can do things to earn like, oh, if you do this quest, you also earn these cards or this promo on Magic Online, and like that's the kind of thing
Or
they can,
like whatever Magic Digital
yes
next.
So and that's something really easy they can do that like makes a lot of sense.
Potentially, yeah. And the other digital thing that kind of got announced was that Amonkhet will be the last set for Magic Duels, and they're retiring it. I think that this makes sense. Magic Duels isn't made by them internally; it's made by another studio. So I think that they are getting rid of this because whatever Magic Digital Next is going to be that bridge.
Yeah, makes sense.
So they no longer want to pay that company to make that product if they are making it themselves. So that would be my assumption as to why this is going away.
I believe that.
But it is weird that it's going away now, but we have no idea when we're actually going to get Magic Digital next, or whatever introductory product that is under that umbrella.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out at HasCon.
If I had to make a huge guess, if, as Morrow says, the new core sets are going to be aimed at newer players, then I bet it launches with the core set next summer.
That would make sense. So we'll have to wait and see. As for the rest of announcement day, we do have Wednesday, which is going to be tomorrow at the time of recording,
Which is today.
Which is today at the time of listening,
The time you're
potentially,
listening.
or yesterday if you were listening on Thursday. We could go on.
Or last week if you're listening to it next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Does
10
that make any
years.
sense? Yeah.
So we'll have new products / world's big announcements, as well as some 25th anniversary stuff. Maybe some other stuff thrown in there as well. So that Wednesday is also going to be a big exciting day. So I'm sure we'll have a whole community topic about it next week.
Please do something better for Magic's 25th anniversary than like Capcom did for like Mega Man's 25th anniversary.
but-
They had this huge thing for it, and then nothing happened. Capcom, you suck.
Was it the 10th anniversary or the 15th anniversary that they did like the stamped rook egg as like
That
the
was
promo?
the 10th.
Is it the 10th?
Oh man, I don't
One of the
remember.
worst promos you could ever have. It's
I
like,
was
oh, cool.
young, so yeah, that
Make it better than that.
No, yeah, that might have been 10th. Oh,
Yeah.
I was at that pre-release.
And
That's
then
sad.
Thursday, we have a small organized play announcement. So no one knows what small means, but it's something that we've been wanting
Yeah,
for
that's
a
what
while.
they said.
Yeah.
Team Pro Tours. PTQ's returned.
Well,
That doesn't seem small.
it'll be interesting. They could do something weird with the core set Pro Tour, right? Going forward,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
So
Modern
maybe
Pro Tour
they'll-
comes back.
I don't know about that, but maybe they'll make it a team. You know, possibly a team. I don't know how they would do that
So
with
what are you gonna say?
PPTQs and
What are
all
you
that.
gonna say? I see that look.
is anyone hoping for the Invitational to come back?
That would be awesome.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great. I don't think that's small though. Like it doesn't qualify as small, but it's definitely something that
small.
people
It's kinda
want.
It
small.
affects
It
a
only
very
affects
small
16 people,
Yeah,
so-
it affects a very small piece of the population. But yeah, that would be awesome.
That'd
I
be
mean,
dope.
obviously they'd have to invite me. I'm back-to-back Invitational champion.
Yeah, I don't think they count Cube Invitationals.
We've kept the spirit of the Invitational going with the Cube Invitational, which we're going on 8 years.
yeah.
8 years.
Nice. So I've
Kind of
won
a long
25% of them.
Somebody beat him.
I mean, I lost
You did
last
lose.
year.
You
Yeah.
did lose last year.
Yeah, to people who don't come.
It's true. It's true. And then Friday, it will actually be Hour of Devastation cards that we get to see.
Official ones,
Official ones.
not the non-official ones that we.
Yeah,
today.
so we saw some. We got with a sweet BNR list update. We got some Magic Digital, updates, and then we have some sweet cards that we shouldn't actually be seeing yet because people like to show off promos, as it turns out. So we actually got to see 4 cards. Technically, we get to know about two new mechanics, but we really don't know what the one does. So, let's talk about these cards and go from there. So the first one is Ramunap Excavator, and this is a 2 generic and a green for a 2/3.
Yeah.
I don't have the card up, so
It's a Naga cleric.
not cleric, and it has the text: "You may play land cards from your graveyard."
Yes. So it's a Crucible of Worlds on a stick. This card's pretty sweet. Like,
Yeah, it's definitely a unique effect, and and has some modern interactions. Obviously, has some even I've seen people say like legacy interactions because it can be like Green Sun Zenith and stuff like that, which is
Oh, yeah.
pretty good.
You can get it with a collected company.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this is more of an older format type of card. Like not.
But hey,
not necessarily.
if you were waiting on that card for Get Rog Monster, there you go. You found
Sure.
it.
Yeah, I mean there were a few interactions in standard, but I think without fetch lands, I think it's limited on what it can do for you.
You do have
but-
the cycling lands, which are pretty cool. The cycling rare lands, which is pretty
Yeah.
nifty. I'm not saying like this card's like a slam dunk or anything, but it's a unique effect that we don't see very often, and people like it.
Yeah, I mean this is definitely going to be like a popular card as well as potentially very powerful in modern. I think.
Yeah. We also have a Wildfire Eternal.
I like this character type. It's a zombie jackal cleric.
It's a zombie jackal cleric. Yeah, just that old chestnut. It is 3 generic and a red for a 1/4 creature with a new mechanic called Afflict.
Afflict.
Again,
Yeah.
don't have the
it's-
Afflict, and it has a number behind it, so
Yes,
it's
it
Afflict
does.
4. So Afflict reads, if this creature is blocked, defending player loses 4 life.
Yeah, loses. So they have
Loses X life,
Yeah, loses
whatever
life
the
equal to the
afflict
afflict
is.
number.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And then it has some other text on it that says if this creature is not blocked, correct?
yeah, if it attacks and isn't blocked,
Okay.
you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your hand without paying its mana cost.
Correct.
So like the idea is that like you block it and you lose 4, or you take the 1, which isn't very much, but your opponent gets to do something fairly devastating.
And I mean, it doesn't even have to do damage, right? It just is not blocked.
Yes, correct.
Which is
Which
pretty
happens
interesting.
before damage, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't. You asked before. You asked in show chat today. Does this sound like a punishment mechanic? And it certainly does.
It does sound like a punishment
I think this
mechanic.
card's actively bad. So
I do wonder, like, I hope this is the buy box promo, by the by. So typically the buy box promo, we've had like Thalia.
are they printing Cruel Ultimatum again? Because if they give us Cruel Ultimatum in standard, then I'm all in on this card.
That would make sense.
Like
right?
I
The
am all
bonus.
in on this card if we have Cruel Ultimatum back.
I hope this isn't like the pushed version of this card. Like I want like this feels like a good aggressive mechanic. Like you put this on like a 2/2, for 2, or even something like that. I don't know. Put it on a bear and have it like afflict 2, and then like maybe that's too good. I don't even know. But it's a
They
punishment mechanic.
take 2 or they take 2.
Yeah, they always take 2.
I think it'd have to be like afflict more than what
So
the power is.
I was thinking about this today. I want this mechanic on infect creatures.
Oh no, because it's life lost.
I know. I want them to like your opponent have to start making the decision to whether they okay, I'm at like 4 infect counters and I'm at like 12. So like is it better for me to get more like poison or I think it would be bad, but I want to see it on an infect creature.
That's pretty interesting though. I never thought about that.
I think it'd be interesting.
Or
on-
wither.
Yeah.
See the wither used to be
It did. It used to be.
That is interesting.
Yes.
That would have been really interesting with wither. Now that I think about it.
I want to see if we get this on a larger creature because it still deals the damage to like if it's blocked by something, it's still going to deal damage to the
Right.
creature that is
Yes.
blocking it. So it's kind of a way that it's dealing damage to the opponent as well as if they have to chump block with something.
So I could I'm trying to think of something like Alms Beast where it was like if it attacks and is it attacks alone and gains like lifelink. So like was that the one? The 6/6 for 4?
So it was a blocky. If it's
Oh,
like,
the blocking creature gained
gains
lifelink.
lifelink, yeah.
So like something where like it's like a big guy, but it actually doesn't do much if a creature blocks it, but it has the afflict on it, right? So if they don't block, they take like 6, but if they do block, they only lose like 3. But like I don't know. I think there's some cool design space where it doesn't have to actually be Punisher. It could just make for cool decisions. But we'll
yeah,
see.
it honestly feels like a weird mechanic for this block. It feels like it doesn't really fit in, but maybe when we see the whole picture, it'll make
Sure.
sense.
I think so. I think that it'll look better than we think. And then we have a braid, which is an awesome spell. A braid is 1 in a red, and it reads choose 1. Deal 3 damage to target creature, or destroy target artifact. There you go.
Where were you in Kaladesh block? This is all I wanted. I just wanted the half of it.
It is an
shatter.
instant. It is an instant. So, very important to point out. But yeah, this is a modal spell. People like it. It costs the right amount. It doesn't hit players, but I mean, now that it's harness lightning, they're now that we don't necessarily now that there isn't like the team or marble decks, you do have access to this card to potentially have some versatility with your removal spells, and it kills like a lot of things from Kaladesh block.
Yeah.
It kills all the Gear Hulks, Heart of Kieran. It kills
Toolcraft Exemplar.
Oh yeah, obviously Toolcraft Exemplar.
Snake.
Snake. Yeah, that was the big one. It kills Snake. So it's a good card. It is the uncommon game day promo from what I can see. So yeah, all thumbs up on this card.
Yeah. This is like the opposite of when we were talking about, I don't know, a couple episodes back about like how removal spells were frustrating because they could hit some things but not most things, and you really had to kind of diversify. And this is more of like we'll give you this one. I think like this is like a really, really sweet control card. Maybe not so much an aggro since it can't go to the face, but still like a very useful
I think is
spell.
pretty good in like mid range as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's fine. Like you just want to kill a creature, and sometimes you just need to kill like I don't know, Heart of Kieran, obviously, but like
Sometimes you just
anything
need to
else.
kill a Gear Hulk. Like
That's also true.
Like that's sometimes like you need to just I need to kill this torrential Gear Hulk.
Yeah, that's
and that's
fair.
what it's there for. And then the last card that we got is Adorned Pouncer. I'm a big fan of this card because it's a cat.
Yeah,
Sir Pounce.
Yeah.
Sir, it is Sir Pounce. It's a 1 and a white for a 1/1 with double strike, and it has an ability called what?
Eternalize.
Eternalize.
Which costs
And it-
3 white.
Yeah, 3 generic white.
And we don't know what that
We
does.
don't know what that does. Everything that you say about it is pure conjecture. No idea what this mechanic does. I have to imagine though that it does something like great because this is a rare, And 1 and a white for a 1/1 double strike. You're pretty below curve at that point in time.
I mean, that was like an uncommon in Return to Ravnica, right? Just a 2-mana 1/1 double strike.
Yeah, the fencing ace.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So why is this rare? I'm willing to. I'm very excited to see what it is. Hopefully, we'll get that maybe Friday.
So do you guys have guesses?
I don't even care. I don't even want to guess.
So if this is game 1, then you get to start game 2 with this in play on turn 2 because it's eternal. It lives forever. It doesn't. It doesn't.
You can only play it in Type 1?
It never leaves play. Like it just said, that's the actual text.
yeah.
This card can never leave play.
It has like the old school reminder text of like, instead of removed from the game entirely, it just says like it remains in play
Yeah.
for the next following game, and then the one. No, I don't know. If I had to guess, which is just a complete guess, I would imagine it's similar to Monstrous, and it gets indestructible.
Yeah, that makes sense. But so the other thing is, it can't get counters. We talked about this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it doesn't.
plus one counters.
Yeah, it's not going to get bigger, because the +1 counters don't want to mix +1 and -1 counters in the same set or block, so that wouldn't make sense. And I think if it was a situation where it got counters, it would have a number next to it, like Eternalize.
Is
1 or
this
2,
a
whatever.
rare if it only becomes indestructible?
That's what I'm trying to say.
That
Like,
doesn't
I
seem
just-
that good.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a rare. It has to be something else. It has to be something like we're either not thinking about, or it's a different take on Embalm.
See, I just think like that would be lame to me.
I
if it was
agree.
just basically a different style of Embalm, it's just like,
Yeah.
well, we just had Embalm. Why? But I don't know. Maybe it is that. I don't know.
Yes, I'm excited to see. Like I said, hopefully we actually get cards that have this rule text on them on Friday when they talk about cards. So that's my hope, and then we can talk about it next week. I think we'll talk about it next week anyway because we'll actually be an hour Devastation spoiler season.
Yeah.
They do all the mechanics like day one.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect this card to be better than just gets indestructible because the game day promos tend to be
Yeah.
at least somewhat playable. I mean, we had Glorybringer, we had Languish a couple of years ago, whatever. We
Yeah.
had
yeah.
We've had some misses, but a
some-
lot of them are definite hits.
Yahenni's Expertise was one of them,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? That was a sweet one.
Anguish on Making.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
so
mean, they tend to be good cards or playable cards at least in constructed.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I also say this card looks beautiful. It's so good. Yeah, like look at the foiling.
The-
It's like
the claw
The claw
coming
like goes
over.
into the text box. It's so great. I want this card. I want all of these cards. I want them all. I'm a big fan. Also, Cat Tribal. Come on, we're getting there. We're so close. We can do it. I believe. I believe. I want to play Regal Caracal on Standard. But that was everything for community. That was an hour. That was a whole hour, guys. we appreciate you strapping in and enjoying the whole community segment. Before we jump into competitive, I do want to give a shout out to our lovely sponsor, one of our lovely sponsors, I should say, Comic Town. They will be running a trio of standard showdown events at the shop. The dates for these will be June 18th, 25th, and July 2nd. And if you want to know more about those events, check them out on their Facebook page. You can just do a quick search on Facebook for Comic Town Gaming Center. All right, competitive. So, Mike, you had a pretty good Saturday, from what I heard.
I did. I on a whim kind of went to the PPTQ at Comic Town. It was great because like my wife really likes Sealed, so I was like, oh hey, we can go play the Sealed tournament. And like based on what we had done in Sealed so far, I really have been practicing for Cleveland. We did a couple of the team Sealed. We've done a bunch of Sealed pool practice. I did some Moto ones, and I found out that I can't figure out this format. Like good decks are bad decks are good. But I opened a pretty solid Sealed pool. I tweeted out a picture of it. It had Doubler Angler Drake, which was nice. The mana was a little rough, but like every card on my deck was good outside of like 2 Heckma Sentinels, which were just sort of needed for curve considerations. And I played. It was almost 60-person tournament. Went through. Did get a concession, and I felt bad because that person had to play and then lost. So I apologize. I felt miserable. I still feel miserable, and I'm very, very sorry. But I also had like an awkward like draw early against like a person who got like a slow play warning and a couple cautions. Like it was very frustrating. One of those kind of matches where you just wanted to finish it and couldn't. But overall, I had a good run with that Sealed deck, and was definitely the best I've done with Sealed in this format, and the best Sealed deck I think I've had in this format. Got into the top 8 draft, and like wasn't looking to force anything, but I do know that like obviously like white X tends to be fine. Like white black is good, white red is obviously good, and opened a pretty weak pack and first picked a Gust Walker. Felt pretty good. Second pack was also kind of average, but took an Electrify, and I was like, okay, here we go. Didn't see any more red cards, but white was okay in that pack, so I stuck with white. Pack 2 opened up a pack that, and I will say, like, a lot of these packs felt like even like recent picks. Like, it didn't feel like I was getting cut in color so much as it felt like the commons were like, hey, the white common was like Forsake the Worldly, and the blue common was like the Mill 5 card, and like yes, like and there was like infinite Scarab Feasts going around. So it was just like a lot of trash. And it ended up being like true because I thought my deck was garbage. Like I picked pack 2. I had a choice between a cut the ribbons and a Zombie Lord. And like the way the deck had set up, and I saw the way the black was going, I took the Zombie Lord and shipped red, and ended up being the right call. I got fed in black for a lot in pack 2, but it was still missing. Like I didn't have any final rewards, couldn't see any of them. I ended up with a Binding Mummy, and like it was like pick 4 of a Binding Mummy with a Time to Reflect in the pack, and I was like, okay, like I have the Zombie Lord, I'll take this Binding Mummy. This Time to Reflect should table if like this Binding Mummy made it 4 picks, right? Didn't table. And that was very bad for me. Pick 3 was not. And I ended up with a deck that had very little, like no actual removal spells out of like outside of an impeccable timing, and a lot of bad combat tricks. Supernatural Stamina. I had a Destined, which if you know that's a split card that's black and green. I had Destined. I was like, I didn't play that in the main deck. I was boarding it in, but like that is what I had to do. And I sat down fully expecting to lose round 1. Well, my first round opponent was on Esper Zombies, which right off the bat was like letting you know. And I knew there was another zombies after the player, so or at the table. So I managed to beat him. But he had a Gideon, some good cards, but I was able to like use a couple flyers to go over it. I gotta say, the zombie bat, I already know the card is good, but it was an MVP. Like it was doing so much work. Round 2, I played against Blue Green Ramp, and game 1 was able just to like, even if you're playing bad creatures, if you curve them out next to each other and your opponent misses land drops, you're gonna win. And the next game, I was able to sort of steal. He had a much better board for a while, but didn't want to attack into Death Touch Scorpions. And then like I think I had the 3/3 flyer you could embalm with the Zombie Lord, and he had the mysteries, Anointer of Mysteries. That's not it, is it? The Sphinx, the 4/4 Sphinx?
Curator.
You said this before. And he like attacked into my 3/3, and I blocked, and he was like, okay. I'm like, well, they trade because it's a zombie. And I don't think he caught that like when he first attacked, and I allowed me to just like sneak in with 2 flying for like the rest of the game, and take that one. And then the finals will put against former Invitational champion Lauren Nolan. And I took him to 3 games, but his zombies deck was much better than mine. I do think I misplayed badly in game 3. Now that I go back and think about like my last few turn sequences, Like I sort of thought about it a lot because that's what you do when you lose in the finals. But it was a pretty good run for not really anticipating doing it. So it's not fun to lose in the finals, and friends who I've harassed for losing in the finals can now come and laugh at me if you'd like.
Oh, I'm not gonna laugh at you.
Oh no, I think at Chase I was actively joking around for a long time because he was like Mr. Second Place. So like I did it.
I think I'm like 1 in 3 in PPTQ finals, something like that. So I mean, I can't say anything.
I'm not 0-2 against Lauren, so
Yeah, I lost to him in the finals of the Modern Masters Expo.
oh okay.
The sealed.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I think that's like the last time that he was at Comic Town for an event.
Okay.
So he beat us both in the finals.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit, and he said
he's
he
a
was
good player.
Yeah, he's a good player. He said he was in town to see, I think, his girlfriend, and then he was like, "Oh," and I found out about this, so I just stayed an extra night. I was like, "Like, go home, man." So, but it was pretty funny because like you get paid out in store credits. So afterwards, he's like, "I didn't take the store credit and turn it into as many sellable cards that I could sell in Vegas." So that's funny. So I hope he does well in Vegas. And sad to lose, but I'm glad for the experience I got in the format, and I had a lot of fun. And I still don't understand the draft format. Like I know I pieced together. Like at the end of it, the best thing I could say about it was. Like if somebody looked at it, they'd say, "Okay, that's a deck," and I was afraid that I was going to end up with a thing that was like had like 3 Forsake the Worldlies or something in it to like,
like, oh, that's
Just because they cycle.
I don't know what you did here, but it's not magic.
And actually, I had a friend of the show, Stahersky, Beardface, was watching my draft, and he was like walking around and watching it after we were everything was done. He was like, "I watched that whole draft, like." Every deck at the table was pretty bad because the packs were bad. I'm like, well, that helps. That's the draft where the divert was taken pick 3 because like you opened even this draft opened a masterpiece and it didn't matter. And he's like, I think you did the best you could do. Like black was the right thing to identify for your seat, but like, so I think I took a bad deck and played it to a much better finish than it should have. So, but that was my adventure this weekend.
Fair enough. Well, let's shift gears and move into Modern and take a look at Star City Games Charlotte. It was a total number of. Do we have the player count? We don't.
I didn't do a player count. It didn't cap.
It did not cap.
It was like 784.
Yeah, it was
Seven-
somewhere in the 700 numbers from what I heard them announce. I did watch a little bit of it, but only like a tiny bit of it. The winner of the tournament was Todd Stevens playing Eldrazi, and he's been playing that deck for a while, so it's good to see him take a win home with that. In all honesty,
yeah, really well deserved. I would say, he was actually one of the innovators of this deck, and it's been kind of his baby for a while. So it was cool to see him take it down with that deck.
Yep. He defeated Living End in the finals, piloted by Chris Castro Rappel. And in the top 4, we have Dredge, piloted by Ross Merriam. And then we have Andrew Jessup showing up, piloting Grixis Death Shadow. And
there was a lot of Grixis Death Shadow.
Yeah, for sure. So
a lot.
Yeah, so obviously shout out to Andrew Jessup, member of Team Metagame Guru. So like they show, and I know that we'll talk about it, but I believe like Brad Carpenter won the
Standard Classic
as well. So yeah, they had a pretty good weekend as well. And then we do see another Eldrazi list in the top 8, and then 3 other Grixis Death Shadow lists in the top 8. So yeah, like Dave said, Grixis Death Shadow was like the deck to playing. It was 20%. Is that a correct and accurate number? 20% of the day 2 metagame for. Yeah. That's pretty high.
Let's round it up. It was like 19.6 something.
Yeah, that is pretty high for Modern. But in all honesty, when you take a look at everything else, like there is still a lot of other decks that showed up for day 2 of the Open. So yeah, Grixis Death Shadow is definitely the most popular deck at the moment, and some might say the best, but it is beatable. And obviously it didn't win. So
yeah, I mean, I think Grixis has solidified itself as the best version of Death Shadow, or at least the most successful version. Mm-hmm. And a lot of players identified that, and I think it wasn't surprising after seeing like how well it did when we had the GPs and then Brad Nelson winning the last Modern Open with it.
Yep.
A lot of people identified it as the best deck and then just played it. So a lot of the, I guess, more identifiable names in the room. You had Brian Brown playing it. Emma Handy was playing that.
Yep, she finished 13th.
Yeah. Some other players that I can't think of right now, but yeah, it was a lot. So, if you're going to the Invitational, I would suggest having a plan for Death Shadow matchup, whether that's the mirror or playing something else.
Any other deck that you'd be playing?
Yeah.
There are definitely some interesting decks that show up in the top 32 though. We see Caleb Shear piloting Blue Red Storm. Big shock. Huge surprise.
I'm a little surprised. Well, I'm not surprised that he was playing that, but
yeah.
I'm a little surprised that Blue Red Storm seems to do decently well in the format. I think it's. I mean, maybe I'm overstating this, but I think Grixis just smashes it. I don't see how it ever beats a Grixis Shadow deck. You get discard backed up with Stubborn Denials. And it's just backed up with a graveyard removal,
And a clock.
And a clock, yeah.
So-
It's just it's got the Grixis deck has everything you would want against a deck like that. So it's just that would be I every time I kind of think about oh yeah, maybe Storm would be a good choice, and I'm oh no, wait, it's the room is filled with 20% Death Shadow. It's probably a really bad choice. But obviously, sure, he's been playing Storm for a long time, and he knows he can navigate his way around that. I'm sure, at least to a certain point. So, yeah, overall, if you're not a Storm master, then I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
We do see Brendan Candio showing up playing Counters Company. And
I want to give a shout out to Casper Schaefer. 11th place, playing Naya Zoo.
yeah.
He's got Elspeth Knight Errant in this deck. This is a deck that I just don't think shows up very often anymore, and it's a very classic strategy. I will say, play 4 collect companies, man. I don't know where you make the cut. I don't know what you got to do.
Probably the Elspeth Knight.
It's probably the
It is probably that.
this deck wants if you want to do the modern unfair thing, you should probably play for collect companies. But I like just a very traditional everything is good.
Is it traditional?
I mean,
This looks like
it's got a couple cool choices.
modern zoo in a box.
You're not wrong.
Cards in a box zoo.
I mean, I know the Reliquary's here, Tarmogoyf's here. This is as close to something like Maverick and Legacy as you're gonna get. You know what I mean?
This is Big Zoo.
Yeah.
This
It makes me happy. You've got a Sweet Keswick Wolf run down there. You search that up.
I'm not a big fan.
I just like seeing it. Okay, I'm not saying it's
No,
great.
yeah,
I
it's
just like seeing
definitely
it.
a deck that we have
He's got
not
a Fiery
seen.
Justice in the sideboard,
Yeah,
right?
that is really cute against Death Shadow, but
That's-
it doesn't actually kill. Does it actually kill anything? I guess it just kills all the Death Shadows.
Yeah, you're just okay, I'll put one here, and you gain 5 life.
Yeah.
That's actually insane.
Wait, how many Grove of the Burnwells is he playing? Boo.
Oh man,
0. That's the real tech right there.
the Fiery Justice is actually.
I don't
super
think
sweet.
you can play a Zoo deck and be okay, I'm perfectly okay with my opponent gaining life. I understand that Death Shadow is a huge is part of the metagame, but you still have to beat other decks that you don't want to gain life. You are an aggressive deck.
I am also fairly certain that his sideboard's pretty good because he has Engineer Explosives, Blood Moon.
Is it?
against just Death Shadow.
I'm just saying,
Oh, I'm saying I thought you were
got
going Death Shadow.
a lot of ones with no way to really start them up except for the 2 collecting companies. It's very unfocused, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm sure. Yeah, whatever. You just this is how you play mid range. You just draw the best card on time, and then you don't lose.
Easy.
Anyway,
I just wanted to say I was happy.
Anyway,
to see
it's a cool thing to see because we haven't seen it in a while. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not huge on that.
We had several copies of Dredge show up as well.
I was gonna say, hey, Grixis Delver, 12th place. We gotta talk about Nice. No, it's really just a Grixis Death Shadow list with Delvers in it.
Well, they wanted to add some
It's not that
diversity.
crazy. It's not that crazy.
They just wanted to play all the best 1-drops.
There's
I mean,
only
if you-
4 counter squall in this
Yeah,
deck.
yeah. If you want to not play Gromag Angler, instead play a 1/1 for 1, go for it.
Instead of playing the 5/6 for 1.
5/5.
Oh, is it just 5/5? I think it's 5/6. I guess I'm making that card better in my head.
Yeah,
5/5
Eh.
still pretty good.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
In 30th place, we have Humans Company. I don't know if you guys have like paid attention to Magic Online, but this deck has like slowly been picking up steam, and I kind of love this deck. I don't even care if it's good or bad or whatever, but this deck is adorable.
So
Because it's just Humans Tribal.
yeah, I gotta say, all right, let's talk about this a little bit because it is kind of a new deck. So this list plays. The one drops are pretty good. You know, you get 4 Noble Hierarchs, 4 Avacyn's Pilgrim. Okay.
4 Champion of the Parish.
Champion of the Parish, that's a sweet one. You get Mayor of Averbrook showing up as a 2-of, which is, pumps up your humans.
Yes.
So I think you actively don't want to flip this one over.
Sometimes if you play it on turn 2 and like sometimes if you just start pooping out wolves, it's probably all right.
Fun fact: if you ever start pooping out wolves, go to the doctor.
Yeah.
You're pooping wolves.
Yeah, it's probably not good. You get 6 Thalias, so you get 3 Guardian of the Thrabins and 3 Heretic Cathars, as well as 4
I feel like that
Thalias
should
of
still be
Janus.
4 and 2, but
I don't
that's
know.
just my.
They're legendary.
It is 6, but the lists have fluctuated between like 4 and 2, or sometimes they go up to 7 and play 4 and 3.
Oh,
Sure. Sin Collector, that's a sweet one, especially if you hit it off Collected Company.
Especially if the promo one, the creepy old man. Yep.
Creepy old man,
no,
for
don't
sure.
play that one. And then Reflector Mage getting some modern love.
Yeah. Card's still good off a collecting company, man.
Now,
modern.
that being said, this deck was on camera at least once, maybe twice.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look very good.
I mean,
Like, it actually didn't do anything.
This is not like me saying the deck is good, but
No.
I just think this deck is awesome.
Maybe that was just a bad sample. Because, I mean, obviously,
maybe.
you finished 30th, so, I mean, you got a decent amount of
Yeah,
wins.
and I mean, like
But-
it is definitely there are other probably better things you could be doing, but this deck looks like a lot of fun.
So, you want to know what my favorite thing about this deck is?
Is it Staticaster in the sideboard?
No, that's pretty good. But that's not my favorite thing. The Mirren Crusaders on the board.
Okay,
That
Oh, yeah.
card is insane right now. Like, so the Grixis list, a lot of them are just cutting Lightning Bolt altogether because it's really not good in the Death Shadow metagame. People are pretty much maxing out on fail pushes for the most part and even playing more Terminates so that you can kill pretty much anything out of the Grixis list. So if they have no non-black removal spells, Mirren Crusader just not only blocks everything in their whole deck, it also is just an unblockable threat that's going to kill them like very quickly.
Yes.
Like that card is really good in the format right now. Not to mention that it can't be blocked by Tarmogoyf or anything. Man, now it's probably bad against Eldrazi Tron, so maybe it's not quite main deckable, but it is a really good sideboard card right now.
for sure. I'm a fan. Plus, like, really tangentially, through like me like borrowing cards and just like having a bunch of old cards from like older standards. This deck isn't that expensive, so
Cavern of Souls.
you have those.
I have 2 Cavern of Souls, and I'm borrowing 2 from a very nice person named Dave.
I won't need them back to
So, and I already have like Noble Hierarchs, and everything else is relatively cheap. Like,
I wouldn't say it's cheap.
I'm not saying it's cheap. I'm saying if you have a bunch of the cards already, it's cheap. Like I
So
do.
if you have all the expensive cards already, then
I'm
it's
very
cheap.
fortunate that I have fetch lands already, and I have Cavern of Souls through various means.
Okay.
Like you, and like getting collected companies is not bad. Like that card clearly has shown itself to be pretty good in modern, so whatever. Like having a playset of those isn't terrible. It's cool. It's a cool deck. I like it. Maybe this can be my Delver, my bad deck that I kind of like anyway.
So there was, I noticed there was an unusual amount of Jeskai control in the top 32, which I thought was weird, and nobody seemed to settle on like a
Definitive
one
build.
list. So they're all kind of different.
I think like that just is like the nature of those decks. I feel like Jeskai has a lot of flex slots.
Yeah. So we had 9th place Joel Sukram. He was playing a version that has Kiki Jikis and Restoration Angels. in there.
Sneaky Kiki.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, for the most part, it's a control deck, cryptic commands, bolts, paths, all that, with infinite combo there. Because
why not?
Yeah. we had 17th place Caden Crepine. He was playing a version with 4 Snapcasters and 2 Torrential Gearhulks.
Six Snapcasters.
Yeah, yeah. And then I know at least we had Benjamin Nikolic finishing 25th, and he was playing. This was close to the Ryuichi Tamada list that was playing Spell Queller and Snapcaster, and he's actually playing 1 Vanillion Click on top of that. But for the most part, it is very similar. It looks like he made a few tweaks, which I actually like in this list. And then Harlan Fear finished in top 32 playing his version. I believe they had Geist.
Notable Jess Guyman.
Yeah.
High on Fear.
Just Geisman.
Just Guyman.
Yeah, he's playing a version with 4 Geist of Saint Trapped on the main deck. So a lot of variations here. I mean, there are a lot of similarities. I mean, they all have, Lightning Helix, Bolt, Path, all the things you would expect out of a Jeskai deck. But the creature suite is very different. I mean, you have Geist, you have, Kiki combos, you have Torrential Gearhulks. It's like there's really no settled list here, whereas you look at something like, Grixis Shadow, which all the lists are like at the most 5 cards off. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much been settled as we kind of know what to expect now out of that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting. Like Jeskai is in kind of a weird spot right now. Like I'm not really sure how it does against Shadow. Has it the ability to just like burn you out really quickly? I don't know.
Yeah, you play Helixes and Bolts. I mean, you have access to Path as well, which is obviously good, and it's hard removal against those decks. So, yeah. I mean, I think it if people are running to it, like if people are like showing up with it, then it must be okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you put 4 or 5 in the top 32. I mean, that's not an accident. So,
not at all.
I just think maybe there's something to that, and like we don't really know what the best list is right now. So I think there's some room to kind of innovate, I guess. But I don't know. Did you guys have anything else you want to talk about in the open?
Nope.
Yeah,
not at all.
I just want to shout out to Todd Stevens again. I thought that was cool. See him take it down.
Yeah,
like
he's a player.
He's a player that like 2 years ago, like nobody knew who he was, and he decided that he was going to grind the SCG circuit, and he's really like kind of like made a brand for himself. You know what I mean? Like he's like obviously very well dressed, and that's what he's known for. He always shows up in like shirt and tie.
Yeah,
he streams fairly regularly.
Him and DeCandio and Tan and Grace to a lesser extent have kind of like really been the boy band of the Cersei Games Open series.
Yeah, and he's put in a lot of work in Modern. He's done very well in all the Modern Opens. I mean, and we talked about how, he's helped develop this Eldrazi Tron deck. He came out with one of the early versions of Bant Eldrazi, which is still kind of a deck in the format. He's played various collected company decks in the format. So, he definitely knows his way around Modern. He's definitely I think a specialist, I would say, in that. But I mean, he's done well in Standard as well. So, I mean, he's somebody that went from nobody knew who he was to now he's the number 1 player on the SCG circuit, and he's the face, one of the faces of the Star City Tour. So, I think it's pretty cool that this is his first win. So it was cool to see him finally take it down. So.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this Modern Classic. It was won by James Jordan playing Grixis Death Shadow. Defeating Soul Malka, playing Black-Green Midrange.
So, real quick, before we get into this list, do you know what people call Black-Green Midrange decks?
They call it the Rock.
Yeah. Do you know who invented the Rock?
Soul Malka. Oh, I'm well versed.
Okay. Do you know the history of that? Do you know where the name the Rock came from?
I've heard the story like once or twice, but I can't remember the exact.
So the original, or I guess like one of the original like Black-Green mid-range decks was based around Phyrexian Plague Lord, which was a 5-mana 4/4 that lets you sack creatures to give things -1/-1, and Deranged Hermit. So Plague Lord was the Rock, and the Deranged Hermit created the Millions. If you don't get the reference, the The Rock, not the movie star before when he was a wrestler. The Rock and his millions. So so it's actually really funny. Like if you go ahead and click on Saul Malka's name, and just so you could see like all the finishes that he has, and just like look at the kind of decks that he plays, because you'll kind of get an idea. Like it's just all black, green, and like Abzan. Like
there's
all he ever
one
plays.
there's one black white control list.
Yeah, but that's a black green deck. Come on, like they're
That's when green just
black
wasn't good
mid
enough.
range. Yeah, so he knows his way around a black green deck. So I thought that was really funny to see his name come up and that he was playing that. Black green mid range, man. One traverse the open wall. That's the number apparently.
This deck's wild, man.
This is the most like black green deck of all time.
So outside of the Lily on the Veil, this deck actually can't kill the Mirror Crusader.
Nope, not at all.
Nope.
You could. Nope, you can't even do that. Never mind. I was gonna say because illness ranks only tokens.
We got
So.
one flaying tendrils.
That'll do it.
There it is. That'll do it.
Boom.
Okay, cool. Got him.
Nah. He's got an illness in the ranks on the board, which I like. That's pretty sweet. Kill them lingering souls.
Yeah, Lingering Souls. They'd be dead.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised like that card hasn't seen play in maybe some like the Grixis Shadow list that aren't running Lingering Souls, because that can be kind of an issue. I definitely wish that I had it when I played against Black White Tokens a couple weeks ago. But no, I mean he's got all the things you would expect
All
out
the
of a black green deck.
all the hits.
Yeah. It's
They're
kind of
here.
like Jund without red. He's got Dark Confidant, Tarmogoyf, Scavenging Oozes, Kalidas, Maelstrom Pulse, Abrupt Decay.
Yeah,
Fatal
you do.
Push,
You do have a slight like Delirium bend. Like we already talked about the one Traverse, but you also have 2 Mishra's Baubles in here as well.
2 baubles. Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just dipping your toes in. That's fine.
One Traverse is wild, man.
I
agree. I'm not going all the way. Just a little bit. Like, I draw this. Yeah, maybe I go get the one Eternal Witness. I get it back, then I cast it again.
Yeah.
I like how the Boston just came out right there. Like, I don't know, maybe I'll go get this.
No.
Yeah, go get this. Say howdy,
That was
motherfucker.
more of a that was more of a New York almost. Yeah, but yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see this
Yeah.
almost get there, I guess.
Did you see the winning list was running 2 Terminus?
I don't think that's correct. Woo, gotcha.
I know it's not correct, but man.
You like reveal it, and then
That's
you
really funny, right?
crack your bloodstained mire to go get your godless shrine. Like, got him. Yeah, I don't think that's correct. It's probably supposed to be terminate.
It's probably true.
Probably true.
But funny.
Overall, it was, if you're playing Black Green X, you probably had a pretty good, top 8. We have Black Green mid range that we already talked about, Counters Company and Abzan Company, which are the same deck.
Yeah.
Correct. All right.
Oh yeah.
Both,
Well, not the same exact list, but yeah, the same style. Yeah.
correct. Yeah. There is definitely
Yeah.
black, so they're both Abzan decks.
Can we just call it Abzan Company?
No,
Counters Company is such a bad name.
I agree. We have a Death Shadows list and an Abzan Traverse list as well. So, and then the rest of the 2 lists are Burn and Ali and Tralsy. Bad turns.
Wait. All right. Without looking at the list, what do you think is in this deck? It's an Ali and Trazi deck. So you probably have some ramp elements.
Some amount of Kioras. I don't know which one.
some amount of like Wailing Mine. Is that the
Howling Mine?
Howling Mine, yeah.
No
Howling
You guys
Mine?
are way off. All right, like
I have no idea.
No cures, but like Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
Okay.
Check the box. We got ramp elements. Okay, we got Noble Hierarch and Utopia Sprawl.
And Garrick Wild Speaker.
Yeah, sure. Nissa Steward of Elements. Didn't expect to see that one in Modern.
Barrier, Narset, Transcendent.
How about Time Warp and Walk the Aeons?
Ooh.
Gotta get that buyback time walk in there.
How many times can you buy it back in this deck?
No, I don't know. Like once. Yeah, I was trying to look to see if you had any way to like buy back, like get the lands back into play. No, it's just. I'm pretty sure it's just Time
See,
Warp.
he wants that great creature that lets you play lands from your graveyard.
Yeah. And it is labeled as Bant, but it's a very light Splash, you just have Narset Transcendent, another one which I know you expected to see in Modern, and one Sphinx's Revelation.
And a bunch of sideboard cards. Like, let that be known.
Yeah, I will say Narset with like Time Warp is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it is. Narset with Seasons Past is no. I guess Seasons Past doesn't work like that, does it?
No, it exiles itself.
It puts itself
Do
on
you
the
get
bottom.
to?
Oh, put it on
do you
the
get to
bottom.
choose?
Well, so does Rebound?
Because it exiles it on resolution. I don't know. I don't think that's what it's for anyway. But
Yeah, that's fair. But pretty funny, just the same.
yeah. But yeah, this is it's a very Alejandro style deck. I wouldn't recommend it.
Not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint of heart. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
This deck's
you-
crazy.
Yeah, you just it has a lot of planeswalkers.
Alejandro's a crazy man. I'm glad he top aided. Good for him.
Yeah.
Doing things that he wants to do, making the format bend to his will.
Look at the one Fogman deck too, because why not?
You need it.
Yeah,
You just need it sometimes.
it better have been a beta fog too. You can't play one fog and have it be like,
Oh, but
oh, I
He's
got
playing
played like
two.
an M10
He's playing
fog.
two. He's got one on the side.
Oh, it's one on the sideboard, sure.
All right, so we did get a request to talk about a certain deck in 15th place, piloted by I assume we say that John.
Yeah,
John.
I think it's just John.
Sorry, that is a reference to something else.
Yeah.
And I mean, no offense to you, John.
It probably is just John. It's just a typo. I'm gonna.
No, it's not.
It
It's
isn't?
not. No, because he. All right. Funny story. So Brad Nelson, we've seen him. He's been on quite a tear.
Who?
Right? Brad Nelson.
Oh, okay.
He won the last Modern Open. Then he won a GP the next weekend. In the Open, he had a camera match against John Middlebrook here, and lost to this deck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
This deck is Challenge Breach. Now, if there was ever a card I thought would never, ever, ever see Modern play, it would definitely be Dubious Challenge.
John was up to the challenge.
He was, even though, regardless of its dubiousness.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, the conceit of this deck is it is a breach deck, so you do have things that you can. Obviously, you're playing Emrakul's, you're playing Grizzlebrains, so you're just like, well, I'm just going to play this card. But you also have a bunch of flicker creatures, which allow you to obviously flicker the other creature that you have to give to your opponent when you cast Dubious Challenge. Now, obviously, they can, if it's like a Grizzlebrand, and you give it to him, well, okay, you can draw 7 cards, but I'm gonna get that Grizzlebrand theoretically. So it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. So Dubious Challenge lets you look at the top 10 cards and then you choose 2 creatures. Or
Yes. Exile 2 creatures.
So you exile 2 creatures
Your opponent
up to 2.
Yeah.
And then your opponent gets one of them and then you get the other one.
Yeah.
So assuming if you get a fatty and one of the Flicker Wisp or Glimmer Point Stag, you end up getting both creatures because no matter what they pick,
Yes.
either you just get the fatty or you get the Flicker creature and then you flicker the fatty and it comes back onto your.
Correct, because it's yours.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't think this deck's good, but it's definitely hilarious.
It is funny.
A couple things I don't understand. The one Elder Storm in the main deck, okay, it's a large thing that you can get. There are a decent amount of matchups where it doesn't do anything.
Oh, no, it does more than nothing. It kills your board half the time.
Yeah, so this list is playing.
It does worse than nothing.
Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarchs to ramp you up. It also has Simeon Spirit Guides. So you could Dubious Challenges as early as turn 2. But yeah, I mean, obviously, looking at the top 10 cards, a lot of cards to see, but you can whiff, which doesn't feel great.
We watched some of the stream. It was mentioned, and I watched Mr. Saffronolive hit just a Simeon Spirit Guide.
Yeah, so your opponent just gets a Simeon
Yep.
Spirit Guide.
Well, I
Cool.
think it's May, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I
target
guess you're not
opponent.
just gonna
Oh
give
no,
him that.
on air.
It's up to 2.
Yeah, exactly. So he didn't exile it. But literally looked at it, Simeon Spirit Guide. It's like, cool. I'm glad I built my whole deck around this.
Yeah. Also, the one Platinum Empyrean in the main deck is weird. Now, he does have Madcap Experiment in the
Yeah.
board. So, in my opinion, maybe it would make more sense to have that all together in the board. You just bring it as a package. but I mean, I guess it's cool to be able to hit it. I guess it's another thing to hit in the main deck. I don't know. It feels weird having 3 Gristlebrand's and like 1 Platinum Empyrean main deck, but I didn't make the deck, so I'm I don't want to criticize too much here, but yeah, this thing is.
You also just like sometimes you give your opponent a Grizzlebrand and then you put a trigger on the stack and your opponent draws 7
Yeah, they still
cards.
get to draw 7. Yeah, that actually happened against Brad Nelson, but he just died anyway because he apparently didn't draw a Terminator.
Oh, fair enough. But I mean, I'm just saying like that. Man, I don't know. Like I certainly do not have the gumption to play this deck ever, and nor do I think I would want to. But this is the coolest thing I think I've ever seen somebody put a top 16 because I cannot believe that Star City Games has ever given me 10 cents a piece for dubious challenges, and I sold them many, and you took them to here, and for that, I salute him.
We
Did you say
applaud
he
you.
was up to the challenge?
No,
We did. We already made that joke.
No,
Stop making that
that's
joke.
why I'm saying no. You can't just like.
Damn it.
Whoa! Ooh, the language, sir.
That's PG-13.
That's not even
PG-13?
Yeah.
That's not even
That's
PG-13.
that means we can show one butt.
I could say S words. If this is PG-13, I could say S words and A words.
If it's PG-13,
Without S's and A's.
If this is PG-13, I get one F-bomb and I can show you my
Yeah,
butt.
1. Yeah, but it can't be like a hard F. It's like a soft F.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess we have to go to PG, but I don't want to edit that out. So
Okay, in PG, you still get to see butt crack. I'm showing you my butt today. I'm just like,
why?
I don't know, because I decided to.
Why the pain?
Anyway, I think the thing that that I have the most problem with this deck is like there's no way to like search up anything. It's just you have no library manipulation at all. You're just like, oh, I'll just cast this. Like you don't have any way to search up Dubious Challenge or like no Serum Visions or anything like that. Like
I also think that you have like all of these flicker effects, but nothing interacts positively with it outside of like
yeah, like they don't do anything else.
yeah, like they're like these effects. Like Flicker Wisp is good because it also can like resets Blade Splicer or resets like Wasteland Strangler or
like Eternal Witness. Like,
yeah.
why is there no
like Eternal Witness would be like makes a lot
That'd
of
be
sense.
awesome in this deck, right?
So I think this is cool, and this is really. I would, if you are actually interested in this deck, interested in this deck, I can speak. I would actually go watch that Saffron Olive stream. I'm sure they're going to put it up as his Against the Odds deck. If I had to guess, it doesn't seem like it plays well. Obviously, it played well enough to get him here, and that's awesome. And maybe I hope you keep tuning it a little bit. But man, yeah, I would not touch this. You couldn't get me to.
Now when it works, it's pretty sweet. You could do turn
Oh,
2
yeah.
Emrakul.
Oh yeah, when your opponent like has an Emrakul for a second and like look at all you've gained. Now look at all you've lost. Like it's funny, but
I don't know. There's things you could do. I guess you'd have to like switch around things and like fix some of the numbers, but like maybe you like have like a weird like gift stack potentially. You're playing blue.
I just feel like you're working really hard. Like for me, like Path to Exile, like seems like a card that almost doesn't make sense to me here because like the rest of your deck is all in on just not caring about what your opponent does.
Right.
So like I don't know this. I think you're doing a ton of work here to make a cute card playable, and it's cool. Like I'm glad you did, and it's awesome. I get to see this, but like I just don't know why you would ever pick this. Like what is the advantage of this?
Think about
Sometimes you get a turn 2 Emrakul.
Yeah,
Okay, is it good enough?
maybe.
just when you think about picking up this deck, think about all the Thought Seizes and Stubborn Denials you'll be playing against.
Yeah, and you just have a
It's
hand
just
that has like a Flicker Wisp and an
uh,
Emrakul and like 2 Windswept Heath.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right.
That's all I'm saying.
Dubious Challenge is a sorcery even. I don't want any of this. I don't want anything to do with
want any of
this. I hope you enjoyed me kicking this deck into the corner. I think that's what you meant by Dave's deck corner. But I'm sorry. It's not. I don't know. I'm torn here. I'm very happy that this happened, but I also can't believe that this happened.
This is like the beauty and the horror of Modern all in one. It's just like this is the best of times and the worst of times.
Man, look at you quoting some Dickens.
Yeah, look at that.
Proud of you.
Wow.
John, I just have to say,
Can we say Dickens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's
you just can't.
the last name.
You can't just have
Okay.
a beverage. You can't have cider. Anyways,
Gotcha. All right.
but I just want to say, John, you were so busy. You were just so busy seeing and asking if you could, did you never stop to wonder if you should?
Yep.
And you shouldn't ever again.
You do you, man. It's modern. It's people's format. Anyway.
I hope that from now on, though, he has earned this right. From now on, if somebody goes, "Are you the guy that played the challenge deck?"
Yep.
He could say indubiously.
Anyway.
I know it's indubitably. That was a joke, not me being stupid. Thanks, Internet. I heard you already.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Standard. But just to say that
Why it's dead.
just
It's
say
a dead
Brett,
format.
it's
Brett
dead
Carpenter
format.
won. Congratulations,
No, it
Brett
wasn't.
Carpenter.
It wasn't Marvel though. That one.
No, it was
No.
4-color vehicles.
4-color vehicles.
Congratulations,
that's
bud.
tuned to beat Marvel because it has main deck.
I know, I get it. I
Yep.
just,
All right.
I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about the list from this. It's dead.
Yep.
I washed my hands of it.
Now wash my hands of it. All right. So before we head into the wrap up, I do want to give a quick shout out to our other lovely sponsor, BCW Supplies. We will be giving away one of their products. I believe that we're going to be giving away one of their folios. So they're 4x4, not 4x4. It's not. Is it 4x4?
I have to go look at it.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm gonna go
I
look at
believe
the
it's-
product.
I believe it's 4x4, so you can store 3 play sets of a card. One of their deluxe folios, pretty much. We want to give away one as well as some sleeves to a follower. So I'm going to be setting up a giveaway on our Twitter. So keep your eyes locked to that. It'll also show up on Facebook, and it'll be a little bit different than our previous Twitter. I'm going to go for. Oh, it's 3x4, not 4x4. Yeah, 3x4. Or 4x3. I don't know how that works. I'm not very good. I'm not very good at
It's the
like.
same
either-
height as a
either
regular
one, yeah.
as a regular binder, just one card wider.
Yes, correct. Anyway, so keep your eyes locked to our Twitter to catch out that giveaway. And again, BCW Supplies is the reason that we can actually give one of those away, along with sleeves, deck boxes. They do have a bunch of stuff that you can actually check out and buy if you want something immediately. And you can go to their website at bcwsupplies.com or check out their Facebook page. So.
Do you want to tie that back into the Patreon?
You have to
as
say,
well?
if you
can
are a
get it- you
Patreon
can get
backer,
it.
you
Yeah,
can get
again.
extra entries.
Yes, if you are supporting us at the $2 level or above, you do get an additional entry into the contest that we run. So definitely check that out. So wrap up. What's happening over this weekend? It's nothing big, right? It's not like this huge event in the desert.
It's 110 degrees. Whatever.
GP Burning Man,
GPEDC, which is
literally,
actually
literally outside in the
GP
desert.
Fire.
GP Fire Festival. Yeah, it's GP Vegas weekend. So good luck to everyone that we know that's out there. There's a ton of people out there, including former host of the show, Jordan. So good luck to him. Hopefully he can score me one of those sweet Mails from Pulse playmats, because I really, really want that. Like, super bad. Like, a lot.
Oh, is that the
Invocation
Masterpiece
one?
one?
Yeah, it's very good. I like it. I like the God team ups, because the Vindicate one is also another God team up. So I appreciate that for some reason. I don't know. I just like the idea of like two gods being like, all right, let's ice this dude,
Wow.
because they both like just destroy stuff. It's great. I don't know. Bantu just wants to kill people. That's all I know.
Yeah.
You think it's Hezeret, but nah, it's Bantu.
I think Hazaret's actually good, right?
I mean,
She's like a
Hezeret also
She was. They all were actually good.
Hezeret
Even
like,
Bantu was like
Okay,
goodish.
yeah, yeah.
But like
kinda good. Like the Sour Patch Kids, right?
yeah, like first they're sour,
Sour.
but then they're sweet.
First Bantu sour, and then she's sweet.
You're dead already, but then she's sweet.
And then she makes you a zombie. It's fine. Or mummy, I guess. In this
They're
realm.
the same thing on this plane. They are the
I
same
understand.
thing.
But it's going to be a limited GP. To shift hardly back to talking about GP Vegas, a limited GP, a modern GP, and a legacy GP. So, plenty of tournament to be had over there. And I know it's a fun time. I've seen like a whole bunch of stuff already coming out of it for people that are already there. So yeah, if you're there, like you're probably having a better time than we are in Ohio, except for like temperature wise. You might like the sun is actually just like over your head all the time, bearing down upon you.
Yeah.
It is, we are in Amaket. It's, obviously, Egypt's very, deserty. So, like, kind of get a little bit of flavor there, right?
They have pyramids over there, right?
Yeah, I don't think the Luxor is the same kind of thing,
it's
but
a
whatever, man. They also have the Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty there
like,
too.
they got everything.
She's got everything.
Why even travel anywhere else? You get every landmark that you would ever need.
I don't think it's the same thing. I'm just gonna guess that though.
No, for real though. I'm interested to see how modern or what happens in the modern GP, because like we obviously saw a lot of Grixis Shadow. I want to see if there's a little bit of reaction to that. See if what people come up with to try to fight against the Grixis Shadow list.
Oh yeah.
So I'll be most interested in that, though. I think the Legacy one will also be interested because we haven't had a Legacy GP since the banning of Sensei's Divining Top. I don't think, right? Yeah. So
not a GP.
Not a GP, just team opens and classics.
Right.
But yeah. So
cool. Well, that'll be everything for the show. Unless you had something else to tag on there. Okay. So that'll be everything for the show. We appreciate you finding our show and listening to us through whatever method that you chose to. If you did find us through iTunes, we would appreciate a review. That really helps our visibility. And if you found us through MTG Cast, definitely make sure to check out some of the other shows that are on there. They do work hard to put everything up there that's on there. And if there's anything that you like in Magic formats or what have you, there's another Magic the Gathering show out there on MTG Cast for you. Of course, you can actually interact with us in various means. We have a Twitter. It's Your End Step when you search for it, and when you add us, it's at Your End Step. We also have Facebook, so just do a quick search for Facebook for at YourEndStep.com on Facebook, and we also have.
I don't know if you'll find an actual site if you go to AA Facebook, or it's a totally different kind of Facebook.
And we also have I'm sorry, this is part of the show. I just say at your end step over and over again, and it's very challenging sometimes. And we also have a Gmail address, or an email address. It's at yourendstep@gmail.com.
So it is a Gmail address.
It is a Gmail address, but it's also an email address. Crazy. And hey, now we have a Patreon, so if you want to give money to this show, apparently that's a thing you can do now.
If you want to give money to literally Morgan talking like this, please feel free.
Also, seek help. And we really want to have more patrons to shout out on next week's show. And again, this is how we can give you more access to the show and give you more behind the scenes. So we appreciate all of our patrons. I keep saying it like that. Anyway, all of our patrons.
It's our patrons.
All of our little bottles of tequila.
Have you had some Patron? Or?
No. It's just been a very long show, and I'm very tired of talking at this point in time.
Then end it.
I'm trying. Anyway, thank you so much for listening this week, and we'll catch you next time. You have a great one. Bye.